Orders of the day.
Ballot item number 68, Order M114, second reading of Bill 114, an act to amend the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act 1997 to provide for a spring bear hunt. Mr. Mauro.
The member for Thunder Bay-Atikokan.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I move second reading of Bill 114, the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Amendment Act, the spring bear hunt.
Mr. Mauro has moved second reading of Bill 114, an act to amend the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act 1997 to provide for a spring bear hunt. Pursuant to Standing Order 98, the member has 12 minutes for his presentation. The member for Thunder Bay-Atikokan.
Speaker, thank you very much. I'm pleased to rise and have 12 minutes this afternoon on my Bill 114, my private member's bill. I want to say, Speaker, that the purpose of this bill, first and foremost, is simply to reintroduce a spring bear hunt, and in my mind, this is first, foremost, and finally, a very significant public safety issue. No more than that from my perspective. That is the primary focus of the legislation. I believe it's necessary, and I believe that for a very long time. I will say as well that I believe that this is very much an issue that unfortunately expresses the north-south divide in the province of Ontario. I've been here 10 going on 11 years now, and I try very hard over the period of time to not get drawn into that narrative, but I think on this issue it is basically impossible not to see the clear distinction in terms of attitudes on this particular issue. It's unfortunate because this is a very legitimate issue. Speaker, I want to also make very clear as I move forward, this is not about establishing a bear hunt in Ontario. We currently hunt bears in Ontario, and we've been hunting bears in Ontario for a very long time. My bill today is not trying to establish a bear hunt. What I'm trying to establish is a spring bear hunt, to change a component of when the bears are hunted back to the spring, where it was historically for a very long time in the province of Ontario. There are some people, not many, who have opposed this, and I respect their position. In Northern Ontario I'm talking about, not a lot of them, but some, and they didn't even know we were hunting bears. They thought there was no bear hunt at all. And so to them I say, this is not establishing a bear hunt. We do that. This is moving some of it forward to the spring. Speaker, I also say that when the Conservatives cancelled this in 1999, the justification for the bill was that they were going to be orphan cubs created, or were being created, as a result of people hunting bears in the spring. Speaker, I can tell you that the desired effect, if that in fact was the goal, and that was certainly the express goal, it's not being met. If people don't think that bears are being shot in Northern Ontario in the springtime, they are sadly mistaken. And I can tell you, if you lived in Northern Ontario, if your property or your pets or your family were being threatened by a bill or by a bear, you would do what a lot of people in Northern Ontario are doing and have been doing since the hunt was cancelled in 1999, and that is they're shooting those bears. And I tell you, Speaker, that the people that are opposed to this, if they lived in those jurisdictions and they had the capacity to shoot a bear under those circumstances, they would do the same thing. And I would say that you might even have created a situation where you are orphaning more cubs under this circumstance than was the case when the spring hunt was allowed to exist. It's somewhat, you could even make the argument, the rule of unintended consequences. I can't say that for certain. I don't pretend to have data or numbers on that. But what I can say to you for certain is that a lot of people are shooting a lot of bears in Northern Ontario in the spring, and they've been doing that since the hunt was cancelled in 1999, and they're doing that because they're afraid of their own safety, their children, their pets, and their property. Speaker, there is a tremendous amount of support for the bill in Northern Ontario, as you can imagine. Every municipality in my riding of Thunder Bay-Atikokan has passed a resolution supporting my bill. The City of Thunder Bay, I want to thank them for it. The townships of O'Connor, Gillies, Conmee, Atikokan, Oliver Papoonge, and Neebing, as well as, Speaker, I would say hundreds of names that have affixed their signatures to petitions supporting Bill 114 that would bring about the return of the spring bear hunt. As well, beyond the municipalities, of course, there are a number of other organizations that have come out in a very big way and supported Bill 114. NASA, of course, the regional hunting and fishing organization in the Thunder Bay region, the Northern Ontario Sportsmen's Alliance, their executive director, John Kaplanis, their VP, Bert Johnson, Jack Mack, and others. I want to thank them for all of their help in garnering the signatures on the petitions that I have presented to the legislature over the last number of weeks, and I want to thank them for their support. One of the things that I've been asked about, Speaker, since I introduced Bill 114 was, and I feel the need to speak to this, was the approach that was taken by the NDP 3 or 4 weeks after I introduced my bill. They've asked me what it was that they were proposing. And I have told them, quite frankly, and I see the member from Temiskaming-Cochrane is here today, and I look forward to his remarks. I told them that what the member from Temiskaming-Cochrane brought forward was a motion that would establish a committee. And Speaker, I've also told them, quite frankly, and I say it to the member, and he's in the legislature today, it's my belief, and he can tell me if I'm wrong, and he probably will, but it's my belief that he didn't want to do that. I don't think he wanted to bring forward a motion that spoke to forming a committee. He's a Northerner, I think he gets it, and I think he knows that a spring bear hunt is what we've all wanted. He didn't do it. Maybe he'll have a chance to tell us why he didn't do it, but I can tell you this, that nobody in Northern Ontario, certainly in Thunder Bay, the people that I've talked to, have been at all fooled by the approach that's come forward. They know that for 14 years there was no movement on this from the third party. They know that in the elections in 2003 and 2007 and 2011, there was nothing in the election platform from the party speaking to it. But coincidentally, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after I tabled a private member's bill on this, the NDP found religion, and they introduced a motion that would establish a committee. Speaker, nobody's being fooled by this. Nobody. And what's also interesting about this is, I'm trying to be gracious here, my friend, I'm trying to be gracious to you. What's interesting about this is we've received criticism in this legislature for quite some time as being the party that likes to consult and likes to talk, and we're told, you know, enough of that. No more committees, let's have some action. Well, in fact, that's what's being offered by the third party. They're saying, let's form a committee, let's go talk about this 14 years later. No criticism to the member. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing in the riding. That's exactly what people think. Speaker, as I said, there were other unintended consequences from when the legislation, or the spring hunt rather, was cancelled in 1999. Other organizations who perhaps at the time were not contemplated as having a significant position on the cancel of the hunt, the spring hunt, have come forward and expressed their support as well. And the member opposite, I think, would probably be aware. The Ontario Federation of Agriculture, before my bill was reintroduced in 2012, I think is the last time, very publicly expressed their interest in seeing the reintroduction of the spring bear hunt. That wasn't in reaction to my private member's bill. The Ontario Federation of Agriculture did that on their own. I didn't ask them to do it. There was no legislation tabled at the time. I don't know if there were any other groups that were asking them to do it. The OFA did that on their own. NASA in Northwestern Ontario has been advocating for this for a very long time. Beekeepers all across Ontario, and that is a group in my riding that has endorsed this bill as well. And we've heard from the Minister of Transportation quite a bit. I had a private member's table, didn't bring it forward, but had it prepared quite a while ago regarding what's happening to the bee population worldwide and in Ontario. The Thunder Bay Beekeepers Association very strongly supports this, as I think across Ontario you will likely see support for that. Speaker, I want to say on the numbers, I don't want this to get bogged down in numbers. One number that we know with certainty is that since the hunt was cancelled in 1999, 1,400 fewer bears per year were being harvested in the province of Ontario. There is was mandatory reporting on bear hunting. So there was a number that we could speak to without equivocation, that we knew there was 1,400 fewer bears being harvested in Ontario from 1999 until 2007. Now, for some reason, I can't get the number beyond 07, but if you want to take those 8 years times 1,400, I think we can extrapolate out. There's more bears in the bush. There's more bears out there, and they are causing a problem. There is no doubt about it. Speaker, this is not something that in Canada we should be viewing as a radical approach to wildlife management in the province of Ontario, or in Canada. The province of British Columbia has a spring hunt as a wildlife management tool. The province of Alberta, the province of Saskatchewan, the province of Manitoba, the province of Quebec, the province of New Brunswick and Newfoundland 7 other provinces. Northwest Territories does it. Nunavut does it. Yukon does it. 7 provinces, 3 territories. Ontario would be the 8th. Prince Edward Island doesn't do it. I'm not sure why. I don't know if they have bears in PEI. And the other one would be Nova Scotia, and I'm not sure about the situation in Nova Scotia. This is going on in almost the rest of the country. Everybody else is doing this. Why was it cancelled in Ontario in 1999? I'll look forward to hearing from some of the members of the official opposition. Speaker, there is an opportunity for us to do this now. I've been asked, well, Billy, why are you doing this now? Why didn't you do it before? Well, the truth of it is, as a Northern Liberal caucus, we did try and do this before. And I've said this publicly to the media in Thunder Bay, we couldn't advance it. We tried in the past, and we couldn't advance it. Well, there's a different dynamic existing in this legislature today. We've got a minority legislature, which the opposition parties like to remind us about from time to time, as is their right. With their support, both parties, we could get this legislation passed today. That's why I'm doing it now. I didn't do it in my platform in 2003 or 2007 or 2011 because I was quite certain it couldn't be advanced. Now we have a minority, and I'm telling you, and we couldn't advance it. I say that unequivocally. We tried and we didn't get it done. Now, with your help, the member from Trinity Spadina, with your help, we can get it done. You're all going to stand. Where's your members? Show up and support my bill, and we'll get it passed. It's a minority legislature. You and me will do it together. We'll get it passed. We're looking forward to your support. Speaker, here we are. It's 2013. The hunt has been cancelled for 14 years. The spring hunt, not the bear hunt, simply the spring hunt has been cancelled. We know under that capacity, since it was cancelled, that 1,400 more bears per year less are being harvested in Ontario and have been. And there are people who work within the ministry who I will tell you have come up to me and said, thank you for doing this, because when they go out in the bush now with their kids and go camping, they take rifles with them, and they did not used to do that. This is a real issue. It is a real issue. Things have changed. People's lives and their property and their children and their pets are at risk. And this bill, I believe, is a way that we have an opportunity to affect that situation that was created back in 1999. Speaker, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. The member for Parry-Sound-Muskoka. It's a continued habit. The member for Thunder Bay-Atikokan, you have 2 minutes.
Speaker, thank you, and I want to thank the members who have spoken on this issue. To the member from Temiskaming Cochrane, I will say once again, I was trying to be kind in my approach. The suggestion that this Bear Management Committee that you have suggested and brought forward, I said in my earlier remarks, talk to NASA, talk to the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, and ask them what they think about your Bear Management Committee. Because you know they've ridiculed it completely. I was trying to be fair, I was trying to be gracious. They know what you've done, they know you're being completely political, and I say again, I don't think you wanted to do it. I don't think you wanted to do it. However, you've done it. The other thing I would say in terms of your approach, you implied in your remarks that the Minister of Natural Resources had done something, so this was our response. Well, the truth is, your Bear Management Committee was debated here before the Minister had made any announcement. Interesting. Chronology. Interesting. Think about it for a second. You brought your committee here, your motion, your desire to go out and consult with people again, even before the minister had made an announcement. You shouldn't do things like that. You shouldn't do things like that. Speaker, I want to talk to the implication of being political. If I wanted to be political about the spring bear hunt in my riding of Thunder Bay-Atikokan, I would have put it in my platform in 2011. Or I would have put it in my platform in 2007. Or I would have put it in my platform in 2011. But I didn't, because as I said in my opening remarks, in my first 12 minutes, Speaker, it's okay, just leave them alone. As I said in my first 12 minutes, I didn't do it because I knew then the issue couldn't be advanced. We got a minority legislature here now. We could advance this issue if we wanted to. If I wanted to be political, I would have played the games that the member ascribes to my motives and put it in my platform in those 3 elections, and I didn't. But I'm doing it now because we got a chance to move it forward. So we'll see what they do, and we'll watch closely, as is NASA and OFA and OFA and everybody else. Thank you for your time, Speaker.
Thank you.